Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, the show where we discuss the latest cryptocurrency news and introduce you to the pioneers and the founders of the space. Today, I'm very kindly joined by the founder of DragonX. Eric, thank you for joining us today. I hope you're well. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Amazing. I've been looking at DragonX for a while. I've seen Crypto Saving Expert put the article out a few days.
Yeah.
A lot of people in our community are already aware of the project as well. So it made complete sense for the link up here. But when I first heard of DragonX, I thought, this is a nice project. But then when I looked into it and spoke to you, I realized how much depth there is behind this and what potential it has as well. So I'm looking forward I've got some questions here to ask you as we go through. But if anyone from the chat, from the community has any questions as well, do not hesitate to ask. We will go through those as we go as well. I will just pull up a few of the chats from the comments from the chat here. We've got TitanX, Fire, and we've got Carl Berger. Let's pump this.
I appreciate you having me. And yeah, one thing I'll say about the complexity is that I think part of the alpha is in the complexity and understanding that. So I hope we can unpack that. And it's really not too bad. So I think hopefully I can help you guys get an idea of what we're all about.
So we'll get straight into it. And guys, make sure you do ask questions. It's always good to go through it. But Eric, what was your journey like going into Web3? How did you start building projects and where did you see the opportunity?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. So I've been in the space since 2015. I'm a software engineer by training, so it's kind of a world that's familiar to me. I was kind of in it, one of these in it for the tech guys back then. Experienced like the 2015 bull run, learned a ton about like just watching all these ICOs, watching all of these crazy promotions. And then I kind of stuck with crypto. And when 2020 came around, I really started to dig into DeFi. So I got into some communities there, and that's really where I learned a lot about how crypto tokens work, how the economics of it works, how the liquidity works, and how to properly design a token, because I was able to see what tokens were succeeding and what weren't.
Oh, brilliant.
And then when it comes to building things, I basically I was able to link up with a really talented team effectively, and be an early part of TitanX, which is a related protocol to DragonX. Which basically gave me this opportunity to kind of jump into founding tokens.
Amazing. And how did the inception of DragonX come about? And was TitanX around before DragonX? A little bit more information around those, because super interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So for those that don't know, TitanX, was and is a mining protocol on Ethereum, and it started a few months before DragonX. So it launched in October, we launched in January. And the idea behind TitanX is that you can get adoption if people can mine the tokens in a decentralized fashion with Ethereum. And so the ROI was really high at the beginning, and people were coming in to mine these tokens, and that was bringing a ton of adoption to TitanX. And during that time, the second phase was this idea, let's build on TitanX. So let's use this big community we have to incubate new projects. And I was close to the founder, and we started to talk about what we could potentially build. And one aspect of TitanX is that it issues Ethereum rewards. So users who have TitanX can receive Ethereum by staking the token. So I ultimately saw that was the biggest opportunity for a new token to build on TitanX, because you could effectively have a big whale. If you got a bunch of people together and had them stake that TitanX into a contract, then those people will receive a disproportionate amount of the Ethereum based on the number of people who actually hold the DragonX token. So those people who submitted their TitanX and basically gave their rewards away, they got the DragonX token in return. And that Ethereum now goes to those people who hold that token through a decentralized mechanism. So that's the fundamental kind of concept with DragonX, but now we're building a lot more on top of it. It's becoming something bigger than that.
Amazing. And what was the reason to stick with the Ethereum network? Obviously, amazing volume there. A lot of people are familiar with it. You've been around since 2015, so I imagine you're a fan of Ethereum. But what was some of the thoughts process, while you were creating these projects? What was the reason to sticking with Ethereum?
Yeah, well, I've been part of a couple other communities that, like on BNB and also on a chain called Pulse Chain. And I'm actually doing some infrastructure work for some of these chains, for Pulse Chain particularly. So our team does other work on different chains. But the thing about Ethereum is it is still kind of the home of DeFi. There's a lot of DeFi apps you can interoperate with, and there's a lot of economic value there, even in the bear market. Because I think a lot of these other chains, they trade very thinly during the bear market. So there's actually not a lot of economic energy there because gas fees are low on Ethereum. So that's kind of cool, is that you can still have a pretty large user base, and there's quite a bit of economic energy on Ethereum, even through down markets.
Exactly. And you mentioned regarding security, very important to you. How do you differ from other protocols regarding security?
Yeah, it's a good question. So yeah, as I said, I was through in 2015. I saw all these ICOs, I saw all these scams, and in 2020 there were so many compromises, so many hacks, so many people were getting huge tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars were being stolen. And I knew that if I was going to launch a DeFi protocol, it had to be secure for this reason, because so many people had been damaged. And I wanted to be this to be something that would help people basically invest, and it would be something that would stand the test of time, right? That would stand over multiple cycles. So we've invested heavily in security. We've had a professional auditor hack it, and we've also had 2 private auditors who are experts in their field, and they provide a different perspective on security.
Yeah.
And so having 3 different auditors on this project, in addition to a team that has a lot of experience in this field and comes from a hardware background. So they have a embedded systems background. So they have a lot of knowledge of basically making sure something is right before it ships, because you can't necessarily retract the code you've done on a device, right? So we had a team that knew what they were doing in terms of security, but then we had these extra auditors and extra professionals that were looking over the code. And I think that really set us apart from 90% of DeFi protocols. I mean, how many protocols do you know that have 3 really hardcore audits?
It's crazy, because security is key for DeFi projects, because even the smallest exploit, it could have been it could be $100 exploit or something silly like that, and all the trust is gone. The longevity, right. Even if they can prove, okay, this is where we made the mistake, this is where we went wrong, it's difficult to climb back and regain that trust as well. So it's best, like you say, to have it audited all before going live, getting it sorted. That's the safest way to do it. And if you are planning for the long term, that's the way to do it. You mentioned 100%. You mentioned there other DeFi protocols. How does DragonX differ from DeFi of the last cycle of the 2021 bull market? How are you looking to make that change into 2024, 2025? How do you think it will differ from the past bull run?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, because the last time was it was kind of DeFi's invention, right? So we didn't have a lot of priors. People were experimenting with a lot of different models, and you could kind of, as the bull run went on, you could kind of see what was and wasn't working. I think one thing that we really put a heavy emphasis on is intrinsic value and actual income coming into the protocol by integrating with other sources of income effectively for the protocol. Whereas you had tokens like Hex or like Cake, PancakeSwap, they just inflated their token supply to incentivize users to come in, right? And that works during the high days, right? When everything's going up and everyone's happy. But then on the other end, you have this inflationary pressure, which pushes the price down in the bear market. So I think that's something that we really looked at, and that's why the DragonX supply is fixed. It's a deflationary token, so the value per token goes up if we can bring more value in, right? Basically, there's a buy and burn mechanism that removes tokens off the market and effectively makes it more and more scarce over time. And I think that's a really cool feature. It's a little bit like Bitcoin, how this Bitcoin gets lost. People forget about it, or Satoshi has 1 million coins, and so there's this scarcity. And program scarcity, I think, is really important for a digital asset. So we started up front with having an asset that would be scarce and the supply would reduce over time. I think that really distinguishes us. The other thing is the income aspect. So we are tied to TitanX, and we're receiving Ethereum, effectively dividends that are used to buy and burn the token off the market. So that just accrues more value to the token. Now, if we can add other things on top of that, then we can further accrue more value to DragonX.
And you mentioned Bitcoin there. We spoke about previous projects, but were there any projects from last run that perhaps you took inspiration from, or even for, you know what, they're not doing, this is not how I would do it, I think we can do it better this way? What were those projects?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say the biggest influence was probably Hex, because I was pretty early in Hex and I saw that the entire kind of project play out.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of misunderstandings about it, and a lot of belief that the token economics were actually the reason why Hex was going up so much. But I actually think that a lot of the token economic aspects to Hex are what brought it down, particularly the inflation aspect. And the other part that people don't quite think about is the staking aspect. So I don't know if you're familiar with Hex or other DeFi staking protocols, but effectively you have a group of people who commit their tokens for a specific period of time and they receive some kind of reward.
Yeah.
But what I noticed being deep in communities that had staking was that effectively people were, it was creating a two-tiered class system. Effectively, you had people who were selling, who were liquid, and then you had people who they were not liquid, they were staked, and those people felt like victims as they were being dumped on, right?
Yeah.
So those are two really strong design elements that we effectively decided to remove from the system. So instead of having inflation, we have deflation. We have
Brilliant.
limited supply, and we have no staking. And that's actually good for the economics of the token, because people, they're more likely to sell, right? So it's not deferred sell pressure.
Yeah.
It's just, if someone has the urge to sell, then they can satisfy that immediately, which gives long-term people a chance to come in and accumulate more. And that's what we've seen in the price today.
Yeah.
A few days ago, it dropped 60%. It's already back up because those sellers are out, right? They emptied their bags, and it's like releasing weight from an air balloon.
Exactly. It has to happen at some point. People often say, getting the weak hands out as such. But it's natural. It also provides opportunity for new investors to step in as well. So,
exactly.
It's amazing what you mentioned about previous learning from previous projects. You saw the kind of divide between, like you said, the stakers and people that were liquid. And I've personally seen, I'm big into my DeFi. It was my bread and butter from last bull run. And it is amazing to see these changes. People are listening to the audience, to the investors, and they're making those changes. So I can only imagine, what these protocols, what DragonX is going to be like, during the next run as well. But I can, I've got to mention on community here. I can see lots of comments coming in as well. How important is community to you, and what have you done to build that?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I've tried to hit as many live streams as I can and talk to as many folks as I can to build the community up. What's really cool about the entire TitanX ecosystem is that it's like an incubator. Yes. So we launched basically into an environment where we already had users, which is a great head start, right? So we didn't start from zero. And actually, within the first few weeks, the contract accumulated like about $8 million worth of TitanX tokens.
Yeah,
and that kind of launch would have been almost impossible if we launched alone. So we had this community backing us up, the TitanX community, and now we're effectively reaching out to grow our community more because it's a first cycle asset. All the token economics are dialed in. It's backed by real Ethereum, so it has a huge potential in the bull market. And so it's about now going on streams and basically building more an audience of new people who need to be educated on it. We're also going to be revamping the website to be more for a more mass market audience, because right now it's very niche. The website is very specific about the economics of the token. Yeah, you can see it there. You can see we have some millions of dollars of effectively locked value that's being used to compound for DragonX users through a series of decentralized contracts here. But it's not exactly evident to a person who's totally new to the project what's going on. So we plan to effectively fix that by having a totally new website that describes what DragonX is in detail. And we'll, after that, be building new functionality on top of DragonX.
Oh, brilliant. So yeah, you mentioned the functionality and the website. So are those the key focuses, or is there any more alpha I can squeeze out of you today, Eric?
Yeah, well, the thing is, so like I said, I looked at what Hex did. So Hex did a 10,000 X, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at their token economics. And I believe we're arriving at something with our new addition to this protocol that will put us at the level of Hex in terms of the token economics. I believe it will be better than Hex. And I say that because with Hex, you had a single token. It was the store of value, and it was the source of inflation to incentivize people to come in and get more. But with DragonX, you have the DragonX token, which is the deflationary store of value, and we're going to be launching a secondary token. This token will allow you to compound your wealth. So effectively, people will start miners, and for deferring gratification, they'll receive more tokens in the future, but it's backed by a really high buy and burn of say 80 or 90%. So unlike Hex, which has no buy and burn, this will have a really strong buy and burn, propping the price of that mining up. The additional benefit to that is by pairing a deflationary and inflationary asset together, you actually help the price appreciation of the inflationary asset because the two will move in lockstep. So you can have a higher ROI on that token, which continues to perpetuate that flywheel. Now, the benefit to DragonX holders is that part of this protocol will actually buy and burn DragonX. So it's a limitless source of income for the protocol that will buoy the price, hopefully, of DragonX. Now, this is all speculative. It's no promises. But I think we are arriving at a pretty cool ecosystem here where we've managed to separate that deflationary store of value from the inflationary adoption mechanism.
And we've got a comment here from Tim Tam Tomo as well. Can't wait for the next payout date for DragonX / TitanX. How often are the payout dates, Eric?
Yeah, it's a good question. So payout dates are, let's see, there's an 8-day, a 28-day, and a 369-day, and then a 888, so 888 days. The next big payout in DragonX is going to be day 369. So on that day, we will receive, I think, around $3 million of Ethereum will come into DragonX.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's really cool, and that's not the end, because if people start mining TitanX again, effectively you will have. Oops, getting a phone call here. If people start to mine TitanX again, you will have new Ethereum coming into the system, effectively, and that will help basically more buy and burn on TitanX.
Amazing. I think we'll run through some questions here from the chat, Eric, as well. We've got Hashi Hadi here. Eric, what's happened to the liquidity? It used to be around 60K and now is close to 1 million.
Yeah, it's a good question. So we had, oops, one sec, sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
No worries, no worries. But yeah, guys, if you want to, while Eric's just sorting that out, if you want to check out the article on DragonX, head to Crypto Saving Expert. This article is packed. It does have all the contact information down here as well, and where you can find their Telegram channel, their Twitter, etc. The link is also in the description, guys, on YouTube if you're looking for that as well, guys. Go check it out. I think Eric's back. Brilliant.
I'm back. Yeah, so basically, what were we talking about? I'm sorry, that phone call came in.
The liquidity was at 60,000, but it's increased to almost 1 million now.
Yep. So effectively, what's happening is more and more people are coming in, and as the adoption increases on DragonX, people are coming in and providing liquidity. And what that does for us is it effectively it just makes it easier for people to trade in and out. So the more liquidity you have, the bigger the traders that can come in to buy. And on the 369, what you're going to see is millions of dollars of Ethereum come into the protocol. And that will really buoy the price potentially, and it will also increase the amount of liquidity that's in the LP. And by doing that, you let people trade more freely, and you also allow whales to come in with bigger entries.
Amazing. And the next question, Eric, would be from Revo. What's the short-term and long-term outcome for the TitanX ecosystem?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, no, I think that right now TitanX is on an upswing. So we went through this big inflationary period where we had tons of people come in, and there was a lot of inflation in TitanX, and that actually subsided. So now you have all of these users, and they're engaging into these different applications that are built around TitanX, and they're actually burning the token. So what you're going to see is TitanX will flip from inflation to deflation. And when that happens, it's going to be really good for the price. Now, TitanX in general, it also has about $20 million of buy and burn coming in for the TitanX token. Oh. So we're built on top of that, and we're kind of a derivative of that. So if TitanX experiences price appreciation, our token will also experience price appreciation. So it's very beneficial. And I think during the bull run, you're going to see a big run in TitanX.
And you mentioned the bull run there. You're constantly building with TitanX and DragonX, providing a lot of new means. However, how do you see the rest of the market? What do you see the outlook for Bitcoin for the rest of the year, for the short term perhaps? Do you think we are setting up for a bull run, or perhaps will this go on a little bit longer?
I don't think we're quite there yet. I think that if you look at global liquidity, it's still quite low. That's the measure that I use, is that in interest rates. And I think ultimately, when interest rates finally do get cut, as economic conditions deteriorate, I think that's when you finally see the market really improve. More money will come in. Now, I don't think it's going to be like 2021, where you had this helicopter money come and everyone was sitting in their house and all they could do was gamble, right, on crypto. So you're not going to see that explosive spike, I don't think. What you may see is a significant rise and more of a sustained rise in crypto asset prices over the next few years. And I still think 2025 will be it'll be a good year for crypto. Like, I think that's going to be the real bull run year, 25 and 26.
And obviously, with Ethereum being a key component, where do you see Ethereum, say, end of year, and then the longer term look there as well, 5 years perhaps?
Yeah, 5 years. That's a good question. I mean, it could be over 10K in 5 years for sure.
Yeah. I think that's realistic. It's not. It may seem out of this world. $10,000 Ethereum, but like you said, 5 years, very realistic.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Ethereum, I think it was $80 in the depths of the coronavirus pandemic. So you had basically a huge drop, and so I mean, 2000 seemed impossible back then, but here we are. So I think we'll definitely see that appreciation again. I think Ethereum has long-term staying power as a network. You have Solana, which is popular, but I think people are realizing that basically degen doesn't get you to where you want to be. I think long hold DeFi is actually better during bull runs. Even if there are fewer people interested in it, the people who tend to go into DeFi, they tend to be more dedicated. They tend to have more money. They tend to care more about quality. And that usually creates a better result for everybody.
Yeah, I agree. There's more capability with Ethereum. Solana is hot right now. It's fun, but for DeFi, it belongs on Ethereum right now. So I totally agree there. We've got another question here from the boss man. There's a second protocol being built on DragonX. Can Eric shed any light on this?
Yeah, sure. So I talked about it a little bit, but this I think is going to be the killer app for DragonX, because you'll have effectively a compounding protocol. So what you can do is you can come in with TitanX. You'll be able to, or you can use Ethereum and buy TitanX and then participate. But what you do is effectively you come in and you can compound that TitanX by committing it into this contract. Now, when you receive that new token, you have to wait. So it's a mining contract that basically defers the release of that token based on the amount of days that you mine it for. Now, during that time, the economic energy that you committed is effectively pumping the price of that token, which keeps the miner ROI up and keeps people participating. So that creates a positive flywheel. Now, the way we have it balanced, it's much more balanced than other protocols that issue inflation. It issues far fewer rewards for early adopters, and it focuses on people who are continually using the protocol. So people who are recompounding will receive the most benefit, and that's ultimately what you want in an inflating protocol. You don't want one of these protocols where people get in and they get entrenched in the staking, and they can use that as an income source while everyone else is suffering as the price is going down. So the main focus of it is on compounding and not on basically early participants.
Brilliant, and I think we'll wrap up there. We do have one more question. Actually, they're coming in hot still. I will go through this. What's the total number of DragonX tokens there?
I think the all-time total was 6.7 trillion, but now we're all the way down to 5.4 trillion. So we've already burned 20% of the entire supply.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And Eric, where are some of the best places people can get involved with the DragonX community, the TitanX community? Where can they find you? I've popped up the Twitter here. What's the best way to get involved with your community?
Yeah, I think the best way would be to go to our Telegram, which is t.me/DragonXWin.
There we go.
And here is the main Telegram. Main Twitter. You have the main Twitter account there and the main Telegram. And also my Twitter account is G1Eric. People can go there as well.
Yes. Let me pull that up. There we go. Oh, I will give you a follow, Eric. Apologies there.
No worries. Appreciate it.
And guys, if you want to find the link for the website, it's in the description as well. And also you can see at the in the footer there, we've got the @ there. But go give them a follow. Go join the community. I'm just going to put the Telegram link into the comments here as well, guys. Go join them because this is super interesting stuff. Eric, thank you for going through that, giving more, giving some more information there, some more education, because I think it's needed. With DeFi can be a little bit, daunting when first looking at it. But then, once an expert, a professional like yourself, explains it and goes through it, it's simple. It makes it easy. I like what you guys have got going on. I've seen how loud your community is. We've even got over 337 viewers right now on stream as well. Largely down to your audience as well. So I'm bullish right now, guys. Let me know what you think in the chat. Make sure to go follow Eric, DragonX, and go join their Telegram, guys. Eric, thank you for coming on today. I hope we have a stream soon.
Same. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Let's go. Woo!